The first thing when we got diagnosed, the doctor told us, you guys are the experts. We don't know anything about this. You guys are the ones that need to figure this out. So I think that that's been the most difficult piece, and being close to him on a daily basis, it actually makes it more difficult because I don't think we see the small progressions that some other people see. But it's really a daily gauge. You know, what is he doing? How is he interacting? And I think it's the interaction more than anything is how we try to gauge that. Eye contact, how is he trying to communicate with us? But it's a slow process for sure.
If you had to introduce your son to the whole world, what would you say?
Well, I guess I'm starting by name, so Jasper Mack, but we refer to him as Mack. And he's got a rare genetic disorder called SATB2, and it impacts his communication more than anything. I think that we're still understanding what his development and capabilities are, but I think that part of that limitation and understanding that has a lot to do with the communication. So I think that the biggest thing that we're trying to understand is communication. So from an introduction to a world perspective, it's a matter of taking the time to get to know him and understand his kindness, treat him with kindness, and it'll be returned to you. So I think that it's a matter of time, and from our perspective, it's we're not limiting it in any way. So the lack of communication doesn't necessarily limit his capabilities, and that's probably the biggest piece. Is if you don't have an opportunity to hear what someone's saying, it doesn't necessarily mean that there is a lack of thought or capabilities inside of them.
I want people to ask us about him because I feel like the unknown is scary. So if you don't ask or you just ignore, you don't know. And so if I love when people come up to us and just outright ask us questions about them. So ask us questions and give him a chance.
I think that the questions is really a good point. You get a lot of people, especially when you're dealing with kids that don't necessarily have some sort of disorder, that they go up and they try to interact directly with the child, which makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, with someone that has a disorder, it's nice to ask the parents some questions to get a gauge for how to interact with somebody. Because Mac's not going to be verbal, he's not going to communicate back. So communicating and talking to him is a positive, but at the same time, you can't really force the issue. So I think that it's a matter of being open and trying to understand, but at the same time just being accepting for whatever the current state is.
What would you say is your biggest hope right now? If you had one goal you were working towards that's on your mind the most?
Some kind of communication. I don't care what it is. If he could pick up signs a little bit better, if he could speak the pod, if he could do an iPad kind of communication, just if something could stick. We're like throwing balls out into the space right now, and if something could stick and he could communicate a little bit better than just pulling us or pointing, that would be probably the world. That would be, I feel like it would make everything a little bit easier for everybody.
And not knowing what your child is thinking is tough.
Yeah.
Not knowing how they're feeling or what they're thinking
Are you stuck?
is difficult.
Are you stuck, Mac? Oh no, what happened? Are you stuck?
Where'd Mac go?
Where'd Mac go?
Has anyone seen Mac?
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 Where's Mac?
He must be hiding somewhere.
Oh.
Wait, I think I see something. Could it be?
Let's see. Where's Mac?
I really like that guy, Mac. I hope. Oh, there he is.
Here he is. Hi.
We were worried about you.
Oh, you're back? Where'd Mac go? Where's Mac?
Mac, where are you? Macky, Mac, Mac. Oh, there's my buddy Mac.
There he is. Hi, Silly. Hi. What do you think?
Hey, who's that?
Who's that? Say hi. Usually when we encounter strangers, they just, either they're right in his face and trying to continue to talk to him and trying to get him to respond, even after I've told him he's probably not going to respond with speech. He's not going to respond with speech.
I think people have a natural tendency to assume that there's going to be communication. And it makes sense, you know,
Yeah.
99% of the world can communicate somehow. And I think it takes time for people to process the fact that Mack's not going to respond to them in the way that they anticipate. You need help? No.
That's more. There you go. That's helpful.